I'm back. Oh, man. Oh, my neck's stiff. Dehydrated. It's cold out. Whew. It's warm up in here. It's still cold. Alright, coffee. Wonder how many people are gonna have the day off. I don't. Three, two, one. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today is Monday, January 20th, 2020. My name is Jeremy. This is my first cup of coffee. Well, it was a busy weekend. It was a great weekend, and I'm looking forward to a good week. There's a lot going on, and we're starting it off very cold. It's 5 degrees. Feels like -5 with the wind chill, which is let's see. Ooh. -20. It's -20 C, right around there. So, ugh. I was gonna deal with the snow in the driveway that came over the weekend that I didn't deal with when I got home yesterday because I just didn't want to. But I'm gonna have to wait for it to warm up. I think it's gonna warm up today. We'll see. Figure it out. Speaking of this weekend was the first tournament for the circuit that Team Whistlekick follows, competes on. So I went down, hung out, cheered everybody on, and they did amazingly. We have 2 new members of the team this year. A couple people rotated off, and everyone did exceptionally. We had some fantastic performances from a few people, and I'm just proud that these guys are wearing the Whistlekick logo. I'm really honored. They're phenomenal people, phenomenal martial artists, and there was one situation. I'll tell you a little bit about it. So there's this one young man. He's 13. Was in a division with 13 to 14-year-olds, and he point sparring is his thing, his forte. In his first match, unfortunately, he drew a teammate, and that was a very long fought match. The next 2 matches were very difficult and very long, and then the 4th match starts off with somebody kicking him in the groin. Wasn't intentional. Still hurts. And then he rolled his ankle, and then there was something else. And I look around at one point and realize that the cheering and the support that he was getting had attracted everyone's attention. That this entire banquet room was paying attention, was watching him. Literally hundreds of people had come over to watch this sparring match. And it was like something out of a movie. He's crying, and he's very clearly in pain. And in between points, while the match was stopped as they were calling and everything, he's doubled over, but he managed to find a way, and he won. And it was one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. One of the most impressive things I'd ever seen in person. Absolutely ridiculous. It was great. And I'm just super proud of him. So shout out to Michael and the rest of the team for putting on a good show this weekend. It was also an awards banquet for 2019 for this circuit, and so hung around, got to put on a suit, see some people I don't usually get to see, did a little bit of dancing. It was a good time. Now, I did mention that this strength and conditioning program that we're developing, the next step was to review it with Justin on the drive down. We did that and made a couple adjustments, but it's ready for the next round of testing. So I've got to do a couple things with that, and then we'll be reaching out to some people. And then I don't expect a long process there, but I'm going to guess by the end of February that'll be available publicly, at least in a trial form, a beta form. So I'm pumped for that. And that was the majority of the weekend. It was driving and coaching people in this banquet and eating, hanging out. There are far worse things to do. It was a nice time. This week is busy, in no small part due to the fact that today is a holiday and it makes some changes. I was supposed to have lunch with a friend today. That got canceled last minute, which means I've got a little bit more open day, which is a good thing. It means I should be able to get some stuff done. I got a meeting this afternoon, meeting this evening for dinner. Lots of meetings. And there's some good stuff coming this week, so looking forward to it all. And I hope you had a great weekend, and I hope you have a good week coming up. Now, of course, it is Martin Luther King Jr. Day here in the U.S., and some of you may have the day off, some of you may not. Either way, you can't deny the contributions or ignore the contributions that this man made to our society, to history. And so we've got some quotes that Frank has written in, and he wants my opinion. Things that Martin Luther King Jr. said. The first one, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. I agree wholeheartedly. It's a great philosophy for life, for business, for anything. I say it a slightly different way. Do what you can with what you have where you are. Comes down to the same idea, right? And it's a really applicable quote for martial arts. When you start martial arts, you can't do much. You do what you can. You are crawling. You're barely moving forward. But you show up to class, you keep doing that, and eventually you learn how to get your feet under you. Figuratively. Sometimes literally. And then you're walking. But there are some times when you're walking that you feel like you're crawling, or maybe there are points in time with your walking that you regress, or you have a bad day and you're crawling. But the idea is you keep moving forward. Whatever the goal is, keep driving towards it, whether it's in your training or your career or your personal life. You just have to keep finding a way to move forward. And if you do that, you're good to go. The people I know in life who haven't accomplished things, the things that they want to, it's because they keep changing what they want to accomplish. Social media, the internet, television has us under the belief that these things that we want happen overnight, or that if we're doing things the right way, that it magically appears all of a sudden. That's not the way life works. It takes hard work over a long period of time. You talk to you listen to interviews with businesses that have grown rapidly, a lot of these tech businesses, and people forget that that business that became a $100 million company, that was the fourth one that they started, and it took 30 years of trial and error, of losing everything they had and starting over. There's no substitute for hard work. There's no substitute for learning how to crawl, how to walk, how to run. How to fly. I don't know how to fly yet. Maybe someday. It has been said, in the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Another MLK quote. What do you think? Yes? I think when I think of the experiences I've had in life that have been most hurtful, it's not strangers. It's the people I know, the people I care about, who weren't there for me when I needed them, or when I asked them, or when I thought they were going to be, and they ended up being hurtful. This quote, this notion is played out in a lot of different ways, different movies. And unfortunately, it's a big part of history. The reason bad things happen is because we allow them to happen. And we can think about the specific circumstances during which he said this. How many people were against the way African Americans in the United States were being treated and said nothing? It can be scary to speak up. It can be downright terrifying. You can be risking your life to go against the status quo. Sometimes that's the right thing to do. Sometimes that's what needs to happen. The more people who speak up, the more people who are willing to risk what they have, the less risky it becomes. There's safety in numbers, whether we're talking about life or martial arts. See how many parallels there are? We calculate risk based on how important things are to us. The more important something is, the more we are willing to risk. Martial arts is important to me, which is why I'm risking everything I have on this company. Why everything that I'm doing is to move this organization forward so we can move martial arts forward. Because I believe in the global impact of doing so. There are things that are important to us. There are things that are not so important to us. And hopefully you're spending your resources, your time, your money, whatever, on things that are important to you, things that really matter. Some of you believe in reincarnation. I don't know if I do. But the only thing we're guaranteed is this one life. Do what you can with it. Make the impact with it. Don't wait and look back and say, oh, I should have. I would have. I could have. It's too late. It's now. What do you have available now? What can you do today? It might be small. It might be not hiding your voice. When you look at every single bit of progress we've had, social progress, whatever kind of progress you want to look at, it comes from a collective voice. One person saying something isn't enough. Which is why part of what we do is to make the content we make that shares these ideas that hopefully you will share with others via either the episode themselves or putting the ideas into your own words. We're stronger together in any way you might want to imagine that concept. And our third question of the day. Remember, if you want to ask a question, drop it below. I'll answer it tomorrow. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Light and darkness are representations of hate, or what I would call fear, and love. Love and fear are the two motivating forces, the two drives in the universe. When you find someone being hateful, if you dig in, you can usually find that there's fear somewhere in there. And this is how I judge my actions. Am I acting out of love? Am I acting out of fear? I've brought this up many times, and I'll continue to bring it up. Light is the manifestation of love. When someone is hateful or fearful, when there is darkness, you can't fix that with more darkness. You have to find a way to inject love. And I think if Martin Luther King were alive today, he would observe what's going on politically and just in our society as we split everything into these dichotomies. Every subject is polarized, and media tells us that we're not allowed to take a moderate position. And so we're driven into these extremes and we attack each other, and it becomes hateful. It's fearful. We are fearful of other people's positions. But if you believe these words, we're not going to change anything by acting out of fear towards other people who are acting out of fear. Someone, or more accurately, many people need to step in and show love and show light to make that change. And we can look around and we can expect others to do it, but you only have control over your own actions. Time to be a leader. Time to step up. Time to recognize that if you're truly acting from a place of love, of light, it's really hard to be wrong. It's really hard to do the wrong thing when that's what's in your heart. I'm not saying it's easy to do, but it's important to do that. There's an adult animated series called The Boondocks that I've seen a number of times. I actually really enjoy it. And one of the episodes is this theoretical premise that Martin Luther King, when he was shot, didn't die, but instead went into a coma and was ultimately revived after 30 years, 40 years, something like that. And he comes back, and the way he's treated is horrible. And he just doesn't fit in with today's society. People treat him like this pariah, like a villain. It's really interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if you can find it online. I believe that show is on Hulu. So if you're interested, you might want to check it out. It's definitely an adult animated series. There's a lot of bad language, but it makes you think. That's what I like about it. And these quotes have me thinking. I hope that as you go through your day, you'll remember them. Maybe you even, jot them down or copy and paste them somewhere. We don't have a lot of people in the world who give their lives to their causes. We have people who give their lives to someone else's cause via military action. I take that back. I don't like the way I worded that, so please ignore what I just said. We don't have a lot of people who give their lives to the greater good. People do it, but just statistically, that's not how most of us are going to go. And I find it fascinating when someone's willing to do that. So I just hope that today, as your homework, you're willing to honor the sacrifice that Martin Luther King made And I hope you're willing to take some of these lessons that he taught and find a way to incorporate them into not only your training but your life. Stacy just dropped a good comment in here. I will remember MLK Jr. and the Tikeri Taekwondo tenets. I shall be a champion of freedom and justice. I shall build a more peaceful world. Perfect. Perfect way to go. I shall build a more peaceful world. I like that. Thanks for coming by. Remember, subscribe, turn on notifications. We do this show every weekday morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern, here on YouTube. If you want to catch it later, firstcupwithjeremy.com or in your podcast feed. This is not the only show that we do, but today's episode of Martial Arts Radio is not quite out yet. It will be shortly. I got the audio up late on Thursday, so we'll fix that. Yeah, I threw myself off by doing that. So I'm just going to say goodbye, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Take care. Peace.